Hey guys, so today I want to talk about skin issues, particularly if you have an autoimmune condition. You might be suffering with eczema, psoriasis, chronic hives, or even acne. So acne is sort of a thing on its own, and I'm going to get to that, but it does have to do with an immune response, not necessarily an autoimmune condition, but it could be, but also it could just be an overactive or confused immune response. So we're going to get into that too. So let me dive into some of the reasons that you might be struggling with some skin issues. And skin issues for people with autoimmune condition can be kind of particularly annoying, embarrassing, debilitating even, because you don't, in the summer, you don't want to wear things that are exposing. It's itchy, especially on your scalp. That's what I had. So let me dive into a little bit of who I am and why am I talking about autoimmune conditions and skin issues in particular, because I had that and I solved it. So let me dive in a little bit. First of all, I always like to introduce myself. I'm Sherry Fogelman. If you don't know who I am, if you're new here, I resolved the symptoms of my autoimmune condition. Yes, I was on medication and I used medication to help, but I also moved out of my medication and reversed the symptoms and went into remission. I worked with my doctor. So I want to tell you that I always tell you, I am not a doctor. I am not giving medical advice. I am only offering you up this information for educational and conversational purposes only. We are going to dive into how to solve or improve some of the common skin issues. Like I said, eczema, psoriasis, chronic hives, and yes, we'll get into the acne a little bit in this video. So let me just tell you a little bit about my story. So I was diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis. That comes with psoriasis. I had no idea when I had psoriasis that that was an autoimmune condition or that was related to my joint pain. So people, if you're watching and you have psoriatic arthritis, you probably know that now. I didn't know that. I had these two separate things that I was treating with topical. I had the psoriasis that I was treating with topical, and I'm going to get into that too, because the topical medications that you might be prescribed by your doctor might work temporarily, but the reason why we want to move away from those is, number one, it's not getting to the root cause of why you're breaking out in a skin issue, particularly if it's acne or hives. Sometimes you just want to put a topical solution on there or take a steroid, and your doctor, and I love doctors, we need to work with our doctors when we have any of these chronic diseases or chronic conditions or skin issues. We definitely want to get those solved with temporarily maybe some of the topicals that you might be prescribed, but those are not long-term solutions, and those are not getting to the root of the issue, as you probably know. It's kind of like if you have chronic headaches, you don't want to keep taking Advil and Tylenol and be on these, chronic medications, because you're not getting to the root of the problem of why do you have a headache. Okay, so here we go. So as I said, I reversed my psoriatic arthritis. I am no longer on any medications. And what I like to do is offer people hope and an explanation and sort of make connections with you so that you can also get some of your issues solved with, it doesn't matter if it's joint pain or chronic fatigue. In this video, we're going to be specifically talking about the skin issues. And I know those are a huge pain point for a lot of you, because if it's on your scalp, if it's on your elbows, it's itchy, it's flaky, it's kind of unsightly, and it might be inhibiting you from doing the things that you want to do, especially in the summer, wearing bathing suits, having your skin exposed, or, dating or anything like that. So we want to get those solved in a way that doesn't involve a bunch of oily creams that can be very helpful temporarily. I'm not saying that I haven't used those. I'm not saying don't use those, but temporarily. And the issue here is you really want to get to the root cause. And yes, the root cause is your autoimmune condition, but what is exacerbating your immune system being confused? So your immune system isn't necessarily overactive when you have an autoimmune condition, whether it be lupus, psoriatic arthritis, Hashimoto's. Many of those come with skin rashes because your immune system which resides in your gut, right? So 70% of our immune system resides in our gut. So we're going to get into gut dysbiosis too. If you already know you have gut dysbiosis, I'm just going to break away right now and tell you that I have a really cool tool for you to use, which is totally free. If you click below here, I have put a link to a checklist that you can use to decide where you are in this sort of gut dysbiosis spectrum. It's totally free. You just have to click there and you'll get in your email a checklist and it'll give you a score, I think of like from 0 to 20 or 25, and you'll find out where you are on that spectrum of gut dysbiosis because 70% of our immune system resides in the gut. So you want your gut to be super healthy, and those are the solutions that I'm going to talk about in this video. Okay, so like I said, any type of skin issue that you have, whether it be eczema, psoriasis, chronic hives, or even acne for teenagers, we're going to put that in sort of a separate category because that doesn't necessarily have to be an autoimmune condition. But if you know somebody with acne, the solutions that I'm going to offer you are going to be the same. So first of all, you need to know that you need to fix your gut. Something is wrong in the gut, and often people with autoimmune conditions also have gut issues. So signs of some gut issues could be acid reflux, poor motility, gas and bloating every time you eat something. Now, it doesn't have to be an allergy. So you may have gone to your allergist who's a medical doctor. I love those medical doctors. You got to go to them. We need their help in this for sure. Rheumatology, endocrinology, and dermatology are usually the doctors that we see for all these things. The problem is in the medical community, the way that our medical community has been developed, they're sort of in these silos, right? So you've got rheumatology if you've got a joint issue, and you've got dermatology, which you probably have been to many times if you have a skin issue like the eczema or the hives or the acne. And we need them because we need to do testing and we need to do all these things, and we need their help because we need to find out also if there's any underlying more serious issues. However, there is so much, and this is the hopeful part, there is so much that we can do to reverse the symptoms of these autoimmune conditions, in particular when it comes to the skin rashes. So I really want to encourage you to pay attention, take notes, get a pen, get a paper, take my test. It's not really a test. It's a gut checklist. I call it the gut checklist, and it'll give you a score. If you like this video and you're liking what you're hearing and you want to hear more about it and you want to stay connected with me, click the like button, because that way my new videos, I come out with new videos every week, and those videos will come up for you and you can subscribe for sure. But like this video, and certainly if you know somebody, I am here to help. So if you know somebody with an autoimmune condition, particularly if they're over 45 and they're struggling with their skin issues and the topical stuff is just not working, share this video with them, and this is like a first step in order to kind of understand what's going on with your skin issues. So let's dive in a little bit to the immune system and why it's so important to get some of these things solved, starting with your gut. So like I said, 70, 80, depends on, what you read and who you talk to. 70% of that, I'm just going to use a conservative number, 70% of your immune system resides in your gut microbiome. What does that mean? So that means that, well, let's go back a little bit to biology. So if you think about your gut, which is like your esophagus, your stomach, your whole GI system, if you draw a line like you were in kindergarten again, draw a line from your stomach where your food ends up, where you got to digest all that food, and draw a line up your esophagus and out your mouth, right? I'm sorry, I'm talking like I'm a kindergarten teacher, but do that, because sometimes obvious things aren't so obvious to people. It's attached to your skin, right? So your mouth is actually attached to your skin. So oftentimes when we have poor gut health or an autoimmune condition, and I'm going to make that connection in a minute too, things start to show up on your skin. So especially if you have a food intolerance, that's going to show up on your skin. So that's where the acne comes in. And if you've been to dermatology, if your teenagers have been to dermatology, sometimes they'll say, oh, let's go off dairy. Let's test for gluten intolerance. And I want to differentiate between an allergy and a food intolerance. Let me just stop right here and do that, because if you've been to the allergist, like I said, who's usually a medical doctor, doctor, and we need them for this testing, they may say to you, you're not allergic to this, you're not allergic to that, you're not allergic to gluten. It's not that. An allergy, you would break out in hives, you'd be running to the toilet, your face would be immediately flushed right after you anaphylactic shock, your throat starts to, swell up. Those are sort of obvious signs of a real allergy. You need an EpiPen. It's like that peanut allergy that sometimes kids, or even adults, a bee sting allergy where you immediately have to go to the emergency room. Okay. Then we have the food intolerances. So those look a little bit more subtle. And so you don't know, because it could be broccoli, it could be avocado, it could be zucchini, it could be any of the healthy things that are traditionally healthy, but not healthy for you at the moment. And now this is sort of a which came first, the chicken or the egg thing. When we have gut dysbiosis, when you've got a bad, you don't have enough of the good microbes there in your gut. I have other videos that go into the details of what that is like. But right now I'm going to assume that you know about good bacteria and bad bacteria. If you've got an overgrowth of yeast or bad bacteria, your gut is not functioning properly, and it could be causing your immune system to be confused and attacking cells and tissue that it shouldn't be attacking. And we don't want that. And oftentimes it shows up on your skin. So we want to fix that gut. That is the number one thing you want to do, is find out, and you can go to I would say, you could start with your allergist. You could start and find out if they will do food intolerance tests. It's different from an allergy test. You want to do a food intolerance test. Those tests will find out if certain foods, and there's over 500 of them, that could be causing an immune response, an overactive, confused immune response, which could be causing some of the acne, the hives, the eczema, making it worse, right? So psoriatic arthritis has a psoriasis component to it, but if you reverse your symptoms, get your joint pain down, get your weight down. In other videos, I talk about if you're 15 or more pounds overweight, 20 pounds overweight, 25 pounds overweight, you are creating inflammatory cytokines that could be making that autoimmune condition worse and the eczema worse, right? So if you're at a healthy weight and that's not your problem, that's great. But then we want to turn to certain foods. You could be watching this and going, Sherry, I eat really healthy. I eat real whole food all the time. Believe me, I know it's a struggle. I know it's confusing, because you could get a food intolerance test and it could come back that you have an intolerance to sweet potato but you definitely want to take out like the bags, boxes, and barcodes and the highly palatable processed foods first. And if you're somebody who's eating real whole food for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and your rashes don't get better, then I would say it's time to do that food intolerance test and find out if you still have gas and bloating every time you eat. It could be avocado. Like I said, it could be legumes, green peas. It could be anything that you think is healthy that is not healthy for you at the moment. And you need to clean up that gut, microbiome. And if you're over consuming, this is the bad news, you guys. If you are over consuming refined sugar, I would say that would be the first place to go, is go do a sugar detox for 30 days. Because I know for me, anytime I increase my refined sugar intake, I know that psoriasis got worse, especially on my scalp. So I'm a person that is a no sugar person. Occasionally, do I have sugar? Yes. Do I notice that my psoriasis is worse? Yes. I've got certain patches. Actually, I only have one patch left, good news, which is right over here. And I can kind of test that out and say, did I have something that bothered my immune system? Because we're not perfect. This is not about being perfect. This is about moving you in the right direction. So even if you're on medication for your lupus or your psoriatic arthritis or your rheumatoid arthritis or your Hashimoto's, if you're on a thyroid medication, doesn't mean that you can't move the needle and improve some of the symptoms. Because I know from my own experience, I was on medications and it did help to a certain extent. Medications also destroy the microbiome. So you want to reduce the amount of any medication that you're on. So if you've got another issue that you need to be on a medication for, maybe you're on metformin or maybe you're on a statin, which a lot of people are on, unfortunately, that could be destroying the microbiome too, which exacerbates those of us, the symptoms of what we have as people with autoimmune conditions. So those are some of the places that you want to start. You want want to start with food intolerances so that you can reverse the overactive immune system, which is what's happening whether you have eczema or psoriasis or chronic hives. Certainly chronic hives and acne, let's just separate those two out. Could be, you don't have to have an autoimmune condition to have those, but usually those are down to some type of food intolerance, combination of stress. So that gets me to my second point, which is if you have chronic stress, we are not obviously going to be able to get rid of all the stress in your life. However, there are ways to manage your stress that will make an improvement in some of those, especially the hives and the acne situations, where managing your stress with the right type of exercise, meditation. I know sometimes I call that the M word. I know that's hard. You're not going to just be able to break out a meditation. But if you're somebody who has real chronic stress, marital stress, financial stress, those are real stressors that you just can't get away from. It's going to be about managing that stress, especially if you do have an autoimmune condition. I'm going to circle back to that. Those are my people that usually listen to me, are the ones with the autoimmune conditions. So stress is a huge factor. And as we know, stress affects the gut microbiome. It affects the feel-good neurotransmitters that are produced in your gut. It's a really complicated system that we have of this immune system. It's linked to our hormones and hormone balances. So we want to get those in order too. But those are my best explanations in order to reverse some of these skin issues. It's not about, so my final message on this is it's not about creams and medications. It can be, and those can be very helpful, but as you know, those are not long-term solutions. Long-term solutions are finding out what are the good foods that feed your gut and using those to reverse the symptoms of your autoimmune condition, whether it be joint pain. In particular, on this video, I'm talking about what you can do to reverse the skin issues that come with autoimmune conditions. So if you're still with me, if you're liking what you're hearing, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And for sure, if you have any skin issues, if anybody that you know has a skin issue, send them my gut check quiz, because I know that's going to be really helpful in finding out where you are in that gut dysbiosis, spectrum. Okay, thanks guys.